Hey, what's up everyone? Alex Cormier here and welcome to the Mindful Mindset Masterclass. So today I wanted to share with you the 3 superpowers that everybody has, but most of us waste. So the first superpower is your attitude. So your attitude is like a habit of thought, right? And where do your thoughts come from? Most people don't really pay attention to questioning or challenging why they're having these thoughts or where they're coming from. So there's 2 places really that our thoughts come from. And it's rooted in a belief, and that belief is creating a perception of the situation, the opportunity, the experience that you're having, or the perception of yourself. And that is feeding your thoughts, right? So maybe you're presented with an opportunity, and then you have a thought that says, oh, I can't do that, or that's not possible, or that's bullshit, or I don't agree with that, or, whatever other thought you might be having that may be negative or limiting, right? Instead of challenging the thought, seeking to understand, right? And diving into a little bit deeper of like, what am I seeing about this situation? What's causing the resistance? What's causing the thought? And what belief am I having about this? What belief am I having about myself, right? And where is that belief rooted, right? So correcting your attitude, correcting your perception, correcting your habits of thought is really just about understanding of what is the belief, what is the perception, and learning how to correct and shift that perception. And also identifying if you're seeing a regular pattern, then identifying what is the deeply rooted belief or fear or perception about this particular situation or circumstance or experience or opportunity that's making me have these thoughts, right? Where are they coming from, right? It's often rooted in a belief of fear, and that's creating a perception of what you're seeing, which is influencing your thought, right? So correcting your attitude, and correcting your attitude is not just about thinking positively, but it's also just about shifting the perception, right? So like if you're experiencing something negative in your life or you're perceiving it as negative, right? It could be a failure or just something that's happened in your life that was unexpected, unpredictable, and now you're maybe seeing it as a negative experience. Now, it doesn't mean that it's pleasant, right? It doesn't mean that it's comfortable, but it doesn't mean that it's bad or negative. I always try to look at any kind of pain or discomfort that I experience in my life as something that I can learn and grow from. And that is the attitude that many people who have achieved any kind of success in their life will have, right? Not allowing their negative experiences or the ones that are uncomfortable to determine their level of where they're going to go or the decisions they're going to make in the future. Right? So not basing their decisions on the past, but basing them on the present and knowing that that was just an experience that they had, but it's not the constant, right? It was just one thing that happened that one time, that it's not necessarily going to happen every single time, right? So correcting your attitude is your superpower number 1, is really identifying how are you speaking to yourself, what are the thoughts you're having, and correcting that so that they're more positive, more empowering, and more uplifting, so that you continue to persevere and continue to make changes in your life, because now you're seeing things in a different perspective, right? You're seeing life through a different lens. If you're focusing on the negative, on the fear, on the doubts, or on the pessimistic views that you have about the world, people, money, relationships, love, business, if you're focusing on these things, then you're going to see more of those things, because now you're putting your focus on that. So you're going to see more of those things, and you're going to put up more walls and more excuses and more stories and thoughts and beliefs about how it's not possible, how you can't do it, how it's just the way it is, whatever story, bullshit thing that you're saying to yourself that's stopping you from reaching your goals or going to the places or going after the things that you want and who you'd like to become, right? So remaining open to learning and shifting your perception, and maybe that what you're thinking isn't true, that what you're believing maybe is just limiting you, and maybe it's not actually true. Maybe it's just one thing that happened to you Maybe it's happened several times because you've proved it over and over again to yourself that that's fact, that's true, right? But maybe those are just 4 experiences that you've had that maybe prove that, but that doesn't mean that it's the constant, that it's always like that, and that it's always going to be like that. So correcting your attitude, right? We have a negative fear-based bias as humans to keep ourselves safe, to keep us alive, but it's not always serving us. So we need to shift our focus and correct our attitude in order to see things differently, see things through a different lens, and allow ourselves to keep moving forward, even when it's not comfortable or when it's not pleasant, right? And we're perceiving it as bad or negative or just the way it is, right? So correcting your attitude is your superpower number 1. Superpower number 2 is your words. Now, your words are what you use to express your habits of thought. It's what you use to express your attitude and your feelings, right? It's the language that you use. And what happens is when we speak our thoughts, when we speak out our negativity, our fears, our doubts, and our limiting thoughts and beliefs about ourselves and the world, money, relationships, work, health, whatever you're expressing out into the world, you're now influencing your environment to reinforce that thought, that belief. Because when you express these things, you're usually talking to someone that is more than likely just going to agree with you, because most people are just programmed to agree and please the people around them and not challenge them and not create conflict or discomfort in people. So they're going to agree with you, and that's just going to reinforce your belief, reinforce the feeling, and make it much more real. Unless you have people around you that will challenge your bullshit stories, that will challenge your complaints and the stories and the thoughts and the beliefs and the fears that you have and the doubts that you have, and make you see what you really are and what you're really capable of, then more than likely when you're speaking those things out, you're just making it more real in your life. And you're continuing to reinforce that attitude and reinforce those fears and those feelings and those patterns in your life. So correcting your language is very important. And every word has an energy, an intention behind it, right? If you say to someone, or someone says something negative towards you, like you suck, you're a piece of shit, you're gonna feel that energy, right? Words have energy. So if you're complaining about your life, blaming, that all has an energy that gives your power away from doing something about it, right? And it's just draining you. It's not providing you with anything other than validation from other people who are just agreeing with you, right? So your words matter. Correcting your language and being intentional and mindful with the words that you're using and what you're expressing. You can leave your thoughts inside of you. I'm not perfect. I have my own stories and I have my own thoughts and my own complaints in my head. But I recognize and I do the work to correct those thoughts and not speak them out loud, and only speak out loud what I want to believe and speak from certainty, right? Speak with belief. Command in your life what you want, not what you don't want. So your words matter. And that's superpower number 2. Superpower number 3 is your feelings, your emotions. We're emotional beings. We're emotionally driven. How you're feeling on any given moment is going to determine what behaviors you have, what actions you take, what decisions you make. We're all driven by emotion, by feeling. And if you're always feeling bad and or that's the constant in your life, and your coping mechanism has been to numb that out through over-consuming or using substances or escapism in some way, and not dealing with those emotions to correct them and get to the root of them so that you can transmute them into more empowering feelings or heal them, then you're going to continue to stay in those patterns. And you're going to continue to repeat the same results and get the same results in your life. So to pay attention to your feeling and focusing on feeling a little bit better, right? And the one thing that your attitude and your words have in common is that they influence your feeling as well, right? If you're having constant thoughts of doubt and fear and stress and worry coming from that belief of whatever it is that you're believing and the perception that you have, and you're expressing those things out loud and making them much more real and amplifying that the words and the belief, you're triggering a feeling, right? You're feeding that emotion of fear and stress, which is just gonna make you want to retreat, avoid, distract yourself, right? Procrastinate, not go through with it, right? Every decision we make and every action we take is rooted in an emotion, either in a desire to feel better or just having a desire in general, or avoiding pain, right? Avoiding something, right? That's how we're hardwired, right? So we need to recondition ourselves and get to the root of the feeling so that we can transmute those negative feelings or those feelings that are low, right? And it starts by correcting the thoughts that you have, the beliefs that you have, the perception that you have, and the fears that you have, choosing not to believe them and choosing an opposing statement, an opposing belief, choosing something different, choosing to see things differently, and doing this constantly throughout your days and having conscious practices that allow you to observe your thoughts with more understanding, more awareness, so that you can recognize it and correct it more effectively, more efficiently, and then paying attention and being intentional with the words that you use and what you say, because they will impact how you feel, and how you feel will impact what you do, which will create the results in your life. And the one thing that these three superpowers have in common is that they all have energy, right? Quantum science has proven that everything in the material universe is made up of energy and is all vibrating at a certain frequency. And we can measure thought frequency. The words that you have and the intention behind them has frequency. And the feelings and the emotional energetic state that you're vibrating at on a primary consistent basis is acting as a point of attraction for more of those things that come into your life. So if you're constantly in a state of fear and stress and worry, you're going to create more circumstances and situations that are going to trigger more of those thoughts, feelings, and situations and opportunities and people in your life to continue to create more of those feelings of frustration or lack in your life. But when you start to shift your energetic state and vibrating at a higher frequency of empowerment, of belief, of faith, of hope, of abundance, of love, you attract more of these things into your life. But it starts with you, and it starts with your thoughts and your beliefs, the fears, the perception, the words that you use, and how you're creating that into your life, making it more real, and how you're feeling. You are the point of attraction for everything in your life. And it starts by applying these three superpowers and being intentional with how can you raise and improve those three superpowers so they're on your side, because they can go in either way, in either direction, either against you or for you. And that is a choice, my good friends. So thank you for watching the masterclass. I hope this was helpful. We'll see you soon in the next masterclass. Peace.